no matter which kind of accounting firm that we moved to, we would take like 3 weeks for us to get our finalized P&L. It actually hurt us in a way where it was that we were really like unable to track true profitability weeks after the month finished. I got word of a platform called Finaloop and, decided to give it a try. Honestly, it was like heaven in the accounting, world, or the finance control world. Finaloop has provided or allowed us to gain like an extremely fast analysis into where our company is sitting financially. You can get your books closed out in a few days or like after the month ends. That's extremely valuable because you can obviously make, shifts and change the direction of the company if need be, or like certain areas of the business.
Hi, this is Rayla from Finaloop. Join me as I sit down with real brands to hear how they got real-time visibility into the health of their business. These are honest conversations about what works, what doesn't, and why Finaloop became part of their journey. Okay, so I guess to start off with, I'd love to take you back a little bit to your
Mm-hmm.
pre-Finaloop journey.
Mm-hmm.
What were you using before Finaloop for your financials?
We were using QuickBooks with a CPA that was managing it typically.
Okay, got it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that since you're no longer using that, there were parts of it that you were not happy with or that you found fairly painful. So I'd love to just hear a little bit more about what your financial process was before, why you decided to change.
Of course. Yeah, so we were working with an external party. We kind of hopped around a few different accounting firms, and QuickBooks was the main platform that was utilized to manage the books on a monthly, like ongoing basis. And no matter which kind of accounting firm that we moved to, the books would always have major issues with them month to month that would require me to go in, like we would take like 3 weeks for us to get our finalized P&L of the previous month. And we're a pretty simple business. At the time we were
Mm.
like a one SKU company. We sold through one channel. We marketed through one or two channels. We didn't really have much of a wholesale business or anything. And it was a relatively simple business to manage books for. But however, you know, still always struggled month to month to get it right. And that really like it actually hurt us in a way where um it was that we were really like unable to track, true profitability months after, or sorry, weeks after the month finished, meaning that we didn't have the best read on where the business was, and that was like a delayed signal. So yeah, we were in a state where like I wasn't too sure whether or not it was QuickBooks or was it these continuous was it these accounting, firms that I continuously moved over to. So we decided, okay, we're gonna bring it in house and manage our books internally. So I decided to, roll up my sleeves and get right in there. And, you know, obviously like I think it was a combination of both, right? Like the firms that we were working with, even though they said they were specialized in ecom, which was, strange considering like how bad the service was. Um, when I went into QuickBooks and started to, yeah, get in there, I really could see how this platform was not like built directly for, the e-commerce business. There was a lot of customizations that you had to do just for it to suit the business model of ecom,
Mm-hmm.
like accrued inventory or, you know, monthly invoicing coming from Meta and like those payments linking to bills like that. Even that simple, process and function felt quite complex on the platform. And I think because we had just chopped and changed through so many different firms over time, the QuickBooks account had got messier and messier, and it almost had like, three different brains in terms of structure put into it. So it was really all over the place. So I was considering deleting it and just like not deleting it, but changing the QuickBooks account, starting fresh on a new year. I think this was 2022. This was
Okay.
2022 that I was looking at like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just stay with QuickBooks, manage it in house? Because I knew that I wanted to manage it. I knew that I wanted to manage it in house and have, the financial control extremely close, like beside me as we kind of continued on through. At that time, we were going through a turnaround. So yeah, I guess I got word of a platform called Finaloop and decided to give it a try. That the person who recommended it to me was a mentor of mine at the time, and extremely trusted voice as well. And honestly, it was like heaven in the accounting world, or the finance control world, like because we brought accounting in-house, where I personally lead the finance team amongst a lot of other things, as you know, right? Like
Yes.
any business owner and founder does. I needed something that was able to be like easily managed and didn't require a l all of my time and attention, and Finaloop was just that. So, like, to be honest, if I was to ever build a platform and, you know, if I was to ever build a platform that was for, ecom, and it was a book managing or a financial management, platform, it would be pretty close to what Finaloop has, put out there. And yeah, it's been a dream, to be honest. And I'm loving all the new features as well. Like I'm recognizing a few of them this year inside of the year end, like closing, like for example, the inventory reconciliation, whether or not you can determine your true inventory value based on SKU or just like total like net
Yes.
value of inventory as well. It was nice being able to like determine which way we're gonna audit it and input it this year. So yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job saving us a
Oh,
lot of time.
amazing.
Mm.
Thank you. And just out of curiosity, one thing that you said that I find very interesting is, I speak with a lot of founders, and some people
Mhm.
really want to be like hand off the books as much as possible and not have to worry too much about
Yeah.
managing it. It sounds like you kind of took the opinion like, no, you want to really be in the weeds, dealing with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to like hear why you decided to do that, what the idea was behind it.
I mean, leading up to the turnaround, the company got in a position that we, became extremely unprofitable. And that was, due to a multitude of reasons, right? Internal, external. One of those reasons out of the many was, our financial management, cash flow management being one of them, but also just book management. The fact that we were getting like P&Ls 3 weeks later, it made it really hard to adjust on a monthly basis to, re-steer the ship basically, um, and change course to avoid, another like negative month. Like for example, if we had bad books, we wouldn't get it to like the 20th of the next month, right? So that's already basically another month gone, and we don't get a read on how that month goes until the next month on the 20th. So to be honest, because we had to go into a turnaround mode, having having the financial management in-house and right alongside me and like books closed 3 to 4 days after the month's ends was an extremely important thing. And after my experiences working with, multiple firms on this, I just couldn't trust any firms to get their job done and especially do it at an efficient cost that I felt like was fair as well. So yeah, decided to bring it in-house, and also I love, numbers, like, just personally, math was always my favorite subject in school. I love, building model, yeah, I'm sure, like, the whole team probably at Finally, you guys could probably have, like, math competitions, and it would be, like, the employee fun day or something.
We're a very mathematical bunch. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
I'm sure. But I've always enjoyed that side of the business, to be honest, like building out, either model P&Ls or LTV models or CAC models, like whatever it's going to be. Um, so bringing it in house has actually been extremely enjoyable, as much as that may sound weird. I love having exposure and kind of being in the weeds in this part of the business. It's the one part of the business that I don't have anyone internally working alongside me with. Like, even though my advisory team, I'm speaking directly about, where we're at with numbers and, maybe potential paths that we should take. And everyone has exposure to where we're sitting, in regards to our KPIs, financial KPIs, etc. I'm the only one managing, the channel. So
Hmm.
it's been enjoyable. Like, yeah, it's the one channel that I'm owning, and like no one's responsible for assisting me with, apart from like invoice entry and things like that. But yeah.
I absolutely love that because I one of the things that we really believe here is the importance of having a certain financial IQ in order to run a successful business.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to be an accountant.
Definitely.
You don't need to be a CFO. You don't need to have a financial background. But if you're not into the numbers, if you don't understand what you're looking at, I think that there's so much opportunity lost there. And a
Mhm.
lot of times it's just, if a business is still doing well after that, it's luck. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
like if you don't actually know your numbers, it becomes
Yeah.
such a problem. So I always try to encourage founders to like It's okay if you don't want to manage it. Like, you don't have to manage it. A lot of people don't want to. That makes sense. But know them. Understand what you're looking at.
Mm,
Understand what to do with that. I think that that's a hole that
mm.
a lot of growth
Yeah,
brands are
yeah,
missing.
yeah, if you don't have exposure to it, like, how do you control it essentially, and how do you recognize uh, if something trips up and is heading in the wrong direction, you know? That's why we have, like, our
Exactly.
weekly scorecard that has probably a collection of 50 to 60 metrics across the entire business in all functions, from inventory to finance to marketing efficiency to, different markets, with different metrics and product sales splits and things like that. So we track that on a week to week basis, and that allows us to recognize if something's going on in the business. We can typically catch things before they become, so large that they're just sitting there and extremely obvious to the entire team.
Mhm.
So yeah, we do the same thing on the finance side. Mm.
How many people do you have on your team?
We have one, two, three, four apart from me. And that's
Okay,
directly
got it.
in-house. So 4 plus myself, and then we also have a strategic partner called Boomin, and they have
Mhm.
around 30 employees, that are working, on Gleamin day in, day out as well. So, they also, like, take a lot of the hiring load off of us for a few functions of the business, for example, like customer success. So, their customer success team manages directly the Gleamin customer success. So if we weren't in that partnership, like, we would probably need to go out and hire two, CS agents, for example, to
Mhm.
manage the channel. So yeah, it's 4 plus me
Well, that
internally, but definitely a few people outside externally working on Gleamin as well.
and maybe so now I guess that I know what you've done before and what some of the issues were. I'd love to just hear a little bit about what your financial process looks like now. What do you do on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, or a weekly basis, a
Mhm.
monthly basis? What's your process?
Finaloop is typically managed once a month for myself. Anything
Mhm.
day to day or week to week is typically with Lifetimely or via our, like, internal company scorecard. So yeah, Finaloop really only gets that attention like once a month when we're doing, reconciliation, a review of the P&L against what Lifetimely shows to see, is there any discrepancies. Um, each month we're doing a transaction review of all transactions over a threshold of $500, sometimes 1,000, depending on how many transactions there were, and just, like, look for anything, odd or suspicious or something that's categorized incorrectly. Um, we also have, this is an ad hoc process, but, whenever a bill comes through, we send it off to our executive assistant, and then she enters it through our Google form, which, she enters into Finaloop, and then the link for that is put through to our Google form, which links to our billing section inside of our finance management sheet. So, we have a spreadsheet that has our, current bills, and then we also have obviously Finaloop as well. Both are a one-to-one
Mhm.
match at all times, and then also at the end of the month that gets reconciled to ensure that they're both, saying the same thing and providing the same figures as well. The reason why we have it separate in the spreadsheet is because then we can map out the bills in our cash flow model as well. So we just reference the bills in our cash flow model throughout the next kind of,
Okay.
from a week to week basis. Um, we also are using it ad hoc as well for invoices and wholesale management. And I love that now you can actually choose the product, which then obviously creates a cog entry versus before you had to
Yes.
manually create a cog entry, which was something I only realized like after, a few months of doing it. I was, these cogs look a little bit off. There's no wholesale cogs in here. I was like, oh, it's because it's like a menu input. But now you can actually just directly choose the product. So it's been a lifesaver. I went back and updated a few of the invoices this year. So yeah, manually we're doing wholesale invoices. At the start of the week, we run cash flow analysis where we're downloading all transactions across the bank account, categorizing them, reviewing the transactions. Does it match exactly what's inside of our cash flow model? If so, like, great. If not, what's the additional transactions? How do they need to be categorized in our cash flow model? And why were they
Mhm.
not, projected?
Why do you do that separately from final? Because you know that I'm trying just to save you with stuff, you know, that we have that also well, you definitely have all the transactions in Finaloop would be categorized, and also you have the ability to export the cash flow. So more again, just we can always cut out anything that so you don't have to worry about that, but more just understanding why you do that separately rather than using what's in Finaloop.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't actually reviewed Finaloop the cash flow analysis and the way the cash flow system works as much as like I've always just learned via a spreadsheet, to be honest. Um, and then also it's just much more like malleable, you know, you can change it how you want and, you know, maybe add another line item if there's like a new type of category expense that's coming out. And also it's the projection piece as well. Like, you know, even though in Finaloop you can add the bills, which typically is, you know, invoices that have already been, you know, provided to us and we understand exactly what that cost is. We use a projection model inside of our financial management cash flow model where like, for example, we pay our strategic partner like X percentage of net revenue every single month, right? And inside of our cash flow model, that's projected each month to go out versus in Finaloop, we can't really do that. You know, you can't
Right, there's no
project.
projection.
And then another thing is like, let's say we run our marketing efficiency, Shopify marketing efficiency at a efficiency of like 3 on Shopify. So that's actually recorded in our cash flow model because if you use the efficiency plus your Shopify line item of Shopify sales, you can calculate exactly how much your advertising bill is going to be at the end of the month. So therefore, I can project based on our estimated MER slash efficiency what's going to be the outgoing in regards to the cash for the advertising of this month. So just gives us a lot more of that control where like it's you know, it may not be a typical use case for a typical business. I know that you always have to manage efficiency. However, like, you know, there are a few things that we manage extremely tightly and that we need to manage extremely tightly. We're 100% bootstrapped, never raised any capital. Like, we're in a position that, you know, we need to capitalize the company internally. Otherwise, you know, we're going to go bust. Um, so for us to do that, there is a few like changes that we need or customizations that we need because of certain priorities internally. And spreadsheet honestly is just the easiest way to do this. Like I should look at Finaloop. If you guys had a projection
Yeah,
based
absolutely.
tool,
So
that would be great.
it sounds to me like you do have like a very like a you've built a real like a model that really makes sense for your business. So I didn't necessarily mean to replace that. What I mean is within Finaloop on the cash flow, you can export you can have like export the cash flow to Google Sheet and you can do like a daily automatic sync. And if you have that mapped out to your model, then those numbers would update automatically. So again, it might be it's not going to be like it's not a sort of out of the box solution where it's just, you know, set it and for like you just
Mm,
export it, you have everything you need in terms of the projections, but it might help you make this process easier moving forward. So it might be worth just seeing if it's, you know, if you do export the cash flow into into
okay, I'll have a look.
a Google Sheet, just to see if
I'll
it
have a look
maps
at it.
out to
I'll
yours
see
because it might
what
help
it.
you speed up that process a bit.
Yeah, true.
Just because I heard that you're doing like the because you're exporting the transactions and categorizing it, plus we're also doing that in Final Loop, there might be certain parts of it that can sort of be streamlined for you as well.
True. Yeah, it takes me probably 45 minutes each week to do it at the start of the week, 30 to 45. So it's not too bad. Um,
Okay, no,
but
it's
yeah,
not too bad.
I'll have a
If you
look.
find it helps you, let me know. I'd love to I'm
Okay,
curious
I will.
if it is what
Cool.
help you want. I'd love to just hear also, like, now what do you still see as some of your biggest financial challenges?
I can't put a light on any that are like operational or you know systematic. I guess you could say. Like I don't think that's
Mhm.
where our challenge lies right now. Our challenge in the last year has been internal margin management. So, you know, our biggest like financial challenges right now is like internally as a team in certain functions. How do we ensure that we're controlling margin and you know staying true to that? Because, like for example, just to talk out loud, in November and December, we had a you know certain like MER slash efficiency target that we needed to hit for those months for them to be, you know, valuable months to the business and to create value. Um, However, there was, you know, postscript or our SMS expense, you know, wasn't kind of projected inside of our efficiency model internally in this department. And what that meant is the quarter finished and we received, $55,000 bill from our SMS provider, and that wasn't recorded in our projections within, the marketing department. And that then ultimately helped pull down the efficiency significantly. So we were way off what we had projected and what we had set out to
Mm.
control. So it's less systematic operational. It's actually just more about like uh, you know, actual application of our internal like margin policy throughout areas of the business. Like that's what we're really trying to like mature on right now and get much stronger at.
Okay.
Mm.
And I guess going back to Final Loop, what would you say is your favorite feature or the one that you use
Ooh.
most often, or is anything that's been like a
Mm,
standout for you?
mm. Hard one. Maybe recently the split feature. You can like change where a transaction is shown on the P&L. I don't think you were able to do that before. So
Yeah.
like, move.
What do you use that for now when
Well,
you
so for example, like sometimes we billed for things like this month that was, actually accrued last month. Let's say it was like a contractor expense or a vendor that has our credit card on file, or like our legal, our lawyers, for example, they have our credit card on file, so they bill us. And there may have been some work that they did on a new contract that was in like December last year, but then now they've just billed us like last week for it. It's like 2.8K. I don't
Mhm.
want that showing on the February P&L. I want to show on the December P&L. So it's just being able to do that without having to put the manual bill entry. Because in the past, what I was doing, I was actually applying. I was just adding a manual bill for that particular invoice with the bill date where I want it, and that was the way that I was kind of controlling where it sat on the P&L. But now you can just change it directly inside of the transactions view. So I would say that, and then also now the wholesale feature as well. I feel like the wholesale side of the business is ramping up personally for us. And then I've also recognized on the platform as well, it's definitely been a larger priority for you guys, building out, more functionality around like wholesale invoices and allocating inventory to certain wholesale invoices that was reflected in COGS. So yeah, I'm loving that feature as well. That's been great. And yeah, the fact that you can send invoices, add your payment details. Um, the last, the only other thing I think, one recommendation eventually, I don't know if you guys want to get into this. It's probably going to open a can of worms internally, but providing people with like like a played link, or like a played, or like a credit card payment link um, via the wholesale invoice. That'll be really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's on our roadmap.
Really?
We're working on it.
Sorry.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. Really?
Bless you.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I think the plan, I'm not 100% sure about this, so don't quote me on it,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
think the plan is to start with a Stripe link ability,
With a
and
what,
then
sorry?
to add in I think the plan is to start with Stripe to put, like, this
Uh-huh.
ability for them to pay through
Mhm.
Stripe, and then after that to add more.
Nice.
I don't quote me on the
Okay.
Stripe one, though, that one I'm not sure about, but it's not that
Mhm.
we have this recorded or anything.
Uh,
I'll ask one more question,
okay.
and then I'll let you go and you're off the hook.
Okay.
Is there any I it's okay if you don't have an answer for this, but just are there any specific examples that you can think of ways that Final Loop has helped you either identify an issue or make a change or do something positive that you weren't able to do before?
Finaloop has provided or allowed us to gain like extremely fast, um, an extremely fast analysis into where our company is sitting financially, which has allowed us to then, make decisions operationally and change things operationally, and internally as well, based on, what those, metrics, or what the financial picture of the company is currently at. So yeah, I think that's probably the
Okay,
best
perfect.
example there, just because it's so valuable, right? If you have like eyeballs on your books, and you can get your books closed out in a few days, prior, or like after the month ends, and it's your true P&L, not obviously what like Lifetimely or Triple Whale or whatever any of the other of those attributions slash profit tracking platforms show. That's extremely valuable because you can then obviously make shifts and change the direction of the company if need be, or at like certain areas of the business. So I think that's just been the biggest, like most valuable piece. It's just saving, also just saving time as well with like managing the books. I love the model how it's kind of like service-based, like provide for service-based business, but also at the same time, it's got this like incredible like SaaS platform on top of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a really, really, really strong model. And the team is great as well, always really fast if I need something. Very quick.
Oh, amazing.
Very, very quick.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for your time.
No worries.